All right, everyone, welcome to our St. Timothy friends and family who are watching this. I'm very excited this morning to be interviewing our seminarian intern, Roberto. He comes to us from Mexico, and he is now transferred to be a seminarian for the Diocese of Orange. So we're excited to be together this morning. Welcome, Roberto.
Thank you, man.
So let's get into it. Let's start with some fun questions. What are you reading right now? Anything exciting?
I'm reading Walter Casper book. The name is The God of Jesus Christ.
Awesome. How are you liking it so far?
Wow, it is very good book.
Nice. Awesome. What about some of your hobbies and interests? What do you like to do with your free time?
I like to practice some sports, like soccer, bike riding, or CrossFit.
Oh, yeah?
Kayaking. Yes.
Nice. Now, have you and Father Evan played soccer at all? Because he played soccer all growing up.
Yes, we used to go to kick the ball
Oh, yeah?
2 or 3 times per week.
Oh,
Yes.
that's awesome. Nice. Do you have any favorite, because you're from Mexico, any favorite Mexican dishes?
Mexican dishes, oh my God. Yeah, quesadillas de carne asada,
Okay.
the best. Yes, it's my favorite.
Awesome. So all those people, once this opens up and you're going to get all these dinner invitations, if you haven't gotten it already, now people are going to know what to cook for you.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about where you grew up.
Okay, I grew up in Huapan, Michoacán. It is a small city in the mountains. It is a very cold weather, and there is a big forest just in front of my house. So there are some rivers, and used to rain a lot, like more than 3 months per year. So every 4 days, 1 day is raining.
Wow.
And is it is very known because they have a very huge production of avocados.
Hmm.
It is a very traditional city. It is a very interesting fusion between different cultures. Michoacán and Uruapan have the first 100% original uh, indigenous city.
Oh,
So
really?
yes, the first Guatapera, that was the name of the hospital for all the people who came from the uh, different towns and some other countries, like from Spain or from South America. It is in Michoacán, in Uruapan.
Oh, wow.
And we have the first constitution in all over America, and it's an
Wow.
indigenous constitution who was made for Don Vasco de Quiroga and some other expeditioners. And the city is a very beautiful city because it is mixing those traditions from Spain and from the people who was living there. So we
Wow.
celebrate Dia de Muertos, some other different traditions, like background is from the indigenous people, and but we have this new message in all those traditions, who is a Catholic message. So it's very interesting.
That's awesome. What was your family like growing up?
So both my parents both born and live in Michoacán.
Okay.
My father is a job surgeon, and my mom is a housekeeper. And also I have 2 daughters. I am the oldest, and
Two sisters.
this one is lawyer, and the other is a dentist.
Gotcha. So you have two sisters, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Also,
You said
yes.
daughters. I was like, uh-oh. People are going to have questions about that. So two sisters. Awesome. So you're the youngest, you said?
No, I'm the oldest one.
Oh, you're the oldest. Okay. They're younger.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. And what was faith like growing up for the five of you? What did that look like in the home?
We are very traditional family.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to go to mass at least every week. But my parents, especially my father, he used to go every day to take communion every day, and we pray the rosary every day. And actually, my grandfathers both were seminarians.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it's kind of fun.
So they discerned and then obviously got married instead.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. When would you say like your faith became personal, that you actually personally encountered Jesus and took ownership of your faith?
Well, this is a very, very good question. So, because faith is an abstract concept, but when it's something concrete, I remember when I was in philosophy, studying philosophy, my father got cancer. And so they were paying for me for my university, for my studies. And I was very nervous because I didn't know if my father could survive the cancer. So the treatment, and he got some surgeries, and I went to my parents' house, and my father said, you know, you are the oldest in the family, and you are the only man here. So if I pass away, please take care of your mom and your sisters. And I was like, oh my God, this is a very huge responsibility. I was like maybe 22 years old at that time. And so I was thinking, oh, my father is gonna pass away. So I was 100% sure of that. So I was thinking, I have to leave the seminary and get some work, some job to pay my sister's university and to help them. But so one of my friends who is a priest, he told me, don't worry, Roberto, if you need something, I will help you. But so he didn't. So he told me, if you need money, if you want to study something, if your family needs some support, I will help you. So don't worry. If you want to become a priest, you can stay in the seminary. If not, if you choose another different thing, I will support you. So I went back to my room that night, and I was thinking, oh, my friend, this priest that don't really know me very well, he's going to support me. But God, who really know me, who really love me, he is the one that is going to support me always. So I think that after that day, I was thinking different. So I can call this moment faith, when I really trust that God is taking care of me. And this priest, so I didn't need the help. Thanks be to God, my father, he got the surgery, and he's doing well right now.
Great.
So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So let me backtrack a little bit because we jumped kind of from your childhood to seminary. So what happened in the middle there? So you grew up in Guapan in Michoacan. I assume you went to school there. When did you decide that you wanted to become a priest? Was there anything before that? Did you move around? Anything like that?
Uh, so the question is, it is kind of a difficult question
Mm-hmm.
because but that time I didn't decide to become a priest, but
Okay.
I decided to have time to discern my vocation.
Sure.
So I was 17 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and long story short, I went to the missions, and I went to a very, very poor area. And some of the first activity actually was invite people to participate in the different schedule that we prepare for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the last house who was around 30 miles from the parish, so we have to walk 30 miles. There were living two very old people, uh, maybe more than 80 years, 80, maybe 90.
Wow.
And the so a very old woman opened the door and start uh, uh, talking with us, uh, me and some seminarians. So then her husband was working on the mountains picking some fruits, wild fruits, to sell these fruits in the next town, who was around 6-7 hours from the small ranch. And so the old woman said to us, "I'm sorry, guys, but I have nothing to offer you because I don't have nothing to eat today. But if you want some water, I have some water for you." So the priest who was leading the missions, he told us, "Please, if someone want to share something with you, say always yes, because if you say no, that is gonna be very impolite and you can hurt their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So say yes. Don't matter if in the moment you cannot eat it or something, but say yes, please." So this old woman uh, came to us with two glasses of with water, but one glass was broken.
Mm.
So I was feeling like, oh my God, this is very, very sad. And but that time, her husband was coming home from 2 days that he was working in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So when he saw us, he didn't follow the way. So he was walking through uh, uh, making his own way.
Mm-hmm.
uh, so I was thinking, oh, maybe he's very serious, and he don't really like to talk with us. But a few minutes after that, he came with us with the fruits,
Mm-hmm.
with lemon, salt, and he prepared the fruits in silence. So he came with us, and he said, "Oh, please, seminarians, you that are very, very near to God, pray for us." And smiling and very happy because we were visiting. And so he gave us these fruits. I couldn't eat like nothing because I was very sad and I was feeling like something
Mm-hmm.
here in my throat. So uh, I was after that, almost everyone was in silence,
Mm.
and we were walking back to the church, the center of the mission,
Mm-hmm.
and I was walking very slow because I was hoping that make a long distance between I and my friends. So when I was a little bit far, I found some very huge rocks, and I hid myself, and I was crying, and I was thinking, oh, these people didn't know me and give me everything that they have to live. Can I give my life to God? And this question was very strong. So one of my friends, who is a priest, Father Guti, he told me, like, if maybe you can be called to the priesthood, so you can go to the seminary and look out if it's God calling you to serve him like a priest. And I say, okay, I'm gonna try it. So that's like why I went to the seminary.
Gotcha. So let me see if I have all this straight. So you went to discern, which is really why people should go to the seminary, to discern. You can't really make a final decision like, I'm going to go be a priest, before you've even experienced like seminary and a lot of what that entails and learning about the priesthood. So you go to discern the priesthood when you're about 17. And then when your dad got sick, did you leave for a little bit?
No, by that time, but after finishing theology, so at first I studied 5 years of philosophy, and then 4 years of theology. And I interrupted my vocational discernment after finishing theology.
Gotcha. Okay. And so you left. What did you do when you left?
I was studying to become an engineer, so I finished my a master's degree in business project manager, and I was working in Mexico City as a financial consultant.
Wow.
Basically.
And then you were still going through some kind of spiritual direction or something like that, and then discerned to come back to the seminary. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And how long were you away from the seminary?
Around 5 years.
Gotcha. So you finished your studies, went away, kind of worked a little bit, discerned to go back, and then you were back for how long before you came here?
Sorry, I couldn't understand the question.
So how long were you back in the seminary before you came here?
To the Diocese of Orange?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I didn't back to the seminary because when I left the seminary, I already finished everything.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So when you discerned back in, it was like some direction, and then you transferred here. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, wow. So, okay, I think you answered this question. How's your family feel about you becoming a priest?
Very difficult question again.
Yeah.
Except for my father, everyone is complaining about it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Any particular reason why?
Because I don't know. They don't. So my mom and my two sisters are Catholic, but they don't really agree with some rules from the Catholic Church.
Sure.
Especially related with the priesthood.
Interesting.
So they think that everyone have to get a family, and that there is not very good for someone to being alone, you know. So I think, especially with my sisters, we are very close. we grow together, and I'm 1 year and 4 months older than my sister, and she's also 1 and 4 months older than my youngest sister.
Wow.
So we grow up together, and so we share a lot of different adventures and different experience. So I think that also I'm not thinking that they feel very bad when I decide to go to the seminary, my sisters and some cousins, because we were like a small family, you know. Especially because in Mexico, or I came from a very, very big family. So my mom had 10 so actually 6 brothers and 5 sisters.
Wow.
And the same my father. So I have only in my mom's side 52 cousins.
Wow.
And so like we are a group of cousins that share the same average age. We were like a small family in the family, you know.
Yeah.
So we were a very compact group, doing different kind of things, like building houses on the top of the trees, and playing soccer every single day, every day. So when I left to the seminary, and I was one of the oldest in the group, and I think I was kind of the leader from some of them. They feel like I was that was a huge treasure for them. So I was a betrayer.
Oh, wow.
He left the group. He left
Yeah.
so I think my youngest sister, she's always like, no, why you are not here with us? And
Yeah.
especially when my dad was in the cancer treatment, she was concerning about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. How did you feel when you first walked into seminary?
Wow, that was I was very nervous, but at the same time, very excited.
Because that was, I think I know how old you are. So it's probably about 14 years ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a long time ago. How does it feel now wearing the collar, walking around? Because, I mean, to the average person, if they saw you on the street, they probably wouldn't know if you were a priest or a seminarian. They'd probably just think you were a priest. So you're kind of walking around, you know, with the collar. How does that feel to walk around with that? Like, what do you see when you look in the mirror? How do you see other people react when you're wearing those?
Okay, so a few years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I think that this it is not important to wear clerics. Is like something that is not very, very necessary, especially in Mexico, you know, because the persecution of the Catholic priests some years ago, the Pope decided to allow the priests to don't use the collar.
Oh,
so
really?
It is not very common in Mexico wear clerics.
Okay.
But it is very common in Mexico to wear your cassock during the ceremonies. Every single religious act in public, the priest is wearing a cassock. And actually, seminarians. So in the seminary, we have to use our cassock during prayers, during mass, and some kind of similar things. But the most of the time we have never used clerics.
Yeah.
Here is a little bit different, but let me share with you a beautiful experience. I went to the hospital one time. I got very, very sick. Like, I don't know why. I have one of the I think the greatest health in the world. I just got sick like 4 or 5 times in my entire life.
Wow.
And one of those was when I was actually in my second grade of theology.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly I was on fever, so my temperature was very, very high. I don't know in Fahrenheit how many, but in Celsius, 40 degrees, 40 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, that's
That's
a pretty high. That's like 104-ish, 104, 105 in
yes.
Fahrenheit.
So
Wow.
I was very sick, so I was trembling, and then I went to the hospital. So when the doctor looked my temperature, he said he's very sick, and prepare the ice and the cool water for him because he can get a shock.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sitting and waiting for the ice and everything, and then in the same room where so people who was very sick is I don't know how to say in English, but terapia intensiva. Like when people get some accidents or is very sick, is going to this place.
The emergency room.
Emergency room.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for the ice and everything, and then in front of me came some people like with very big problems, like without one part of the arm and something like that.
Wow.
And I don't know why I said to one of those guys who was in pain, and I said, you are gonna have the same pain if you stay, like, you are gonna have the same pain, but you can also have a very huge blessing if you offer this pain to God and say, God, I'm feeling this pain, and I know that you also know the human pain, and I'm gonna offer you this pain because I love you. And I start like talking with I don't know, because maybe my temperature was very high, so but I went to everyone and say like this kind of things, and I was doing exercise before to go to the hospital, so I wasn't wearing cassocks.
Mm-hmm.
Cassock. Sorry.
Clerics.
And so the nurse who was there, she was shocked because she was listening to me, and she was looking me and what I was doing. So she told me, please pray for my family. Are you Catholic? Yes. Oh, I'm a Christian, but I like the way that you are praying for all these people, and what are you saying? So she told what I was doing to the doctor, and the doctor came with me, and he was giving me some questions like, hey, I don't know, but that was very, very, very strange moment in my life. But so he invited me to go to the hospital again after I recover my health. So she gave me some medicines and all these kind of different things. And then I went again to the hospital, but I was wearing my cleric, my collar. And that was one of the most incredible days in my entire life. And a lot of people that were suffering in the hospital came through me because they recognized the presence of God in the room, and I was the instrument to share the faith with them. And this is kind of a sign,
Yeah.
God is here. So before that, I wasn't wearing collar or clerics, and I was thinking that it is not very important.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I recognized that it's not important because I that doesn't change nothing on me, but the people can recognize a different symbol. So
Mm-hmm.
it is not for me; it's because them. It's important for them.
Yeah.
And I get this conscious. Oh, they are they really need God, and when they saw these small symbols, they can get this connection immediately. So I think that's so how I feel. I a huge responsibility because it is not something very light, so it is something very strong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah. I mean, you touched on this a little bit, but how do you feel in terms of like your worthiness of that, or like do you ever have doubts, and how do you deal with those doubts when it comes to taking on that as a priest one day?
I know I'm a sinner
Mm-hmm.
and I am not worthy, but I feel grateful, And I think the huge question is that I ask to God is, why did you choose me? If in the world is like, I think most like 99% of people that is better than me. So I don't know, like really. So I'm just grateful for because he's calling me, and not only calling me to the priesthood. So that is kind of a very huge blessing. But the most important thing is that I'm not worthy, that he is sharing his friendly
Mm-hmm.
with me, and that this is the part that I think that is very important. So yeah, so I'm grateful.
That's awesome. Is there anything that you do just in a practical sense to kind of stay grounded and stay, moving forward with your vocation and dealing with those doubts, when they do come up? Or what are some things you do to kind of stay focused?
I have a spiritual director. His
Mm-hmm.
name is Luigi Cosio. He's a Jesuit, and I think that when I have some questions, he's always helping me to discern the will of God and purifying my idea of God. So one thing that he told me is so you can have questions about the future, but know about God in the future. So I think that is very difficult to explain that. So you can have some questions that what is going to happen tomorrow? What is going to happen next month? What is going to happen with me in this specific situation? What is going to... So, but at the end, if you look forward, you are going to recognize that God is going to be there. So that's this kind of answer really helped me to get peace in my heart during the time of the questions. At the end, I'm gonna stay with God.
Yeah.
At the end of this travel, at the end of this proof, at the end of this process, God is gonna be there.
Wow.
at the end of this life, you know.
Yeah. Amen. You said your spiritual director is a Jesuit. So when you were in Mexico, were you studying to be a Jesuit priest, or were you studying to be a diocesan priest?
Diocesan priest.
Gotcha. Okay. And you're continuing now to do that here, but just a priest with the Diocese of Orange instead.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So apart from your spiritual director, is there anyone else who kind of mentors you or guides you in your faith?
Yes. I think my first mentor is my father.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very humble and very faithful and very straight. But so he shared with me since I was very young, like different perspectives from the life.
Mm-hmm.
I was a really one of those troublemakers. And oh my God, yeah, several times I really did like very kind of stupid things when I was young, that my father was always with me in the good moments and also in the difficult moments.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pushing me to look the life with a different perspective, with faith.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he was my first mentor. Then also because my father, he was very related with some priests. In my house, we have some meetings with some priests and with some bishops. And so one of the priests that really have a huge impact in my life, right now I forget the name, is Father Chinchanchoma.
Mm-hmm.
It's very famous in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And Father Chinchanchoma went to Uapan, and we have a meeting. And this priest was working with the homeless, especially with childs in Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very humble guy. Like I think is, if you take the spiritual life of Saint Francis and the courage of the King Ricardo and put together, you get Chinchanchoma.
Wow.
So he was it is very difficult to explain this priest, because he was 100% poor his entire life. He decided to become a homeless in one of the biggest cities in the world, helping full time those children that were abandoned from his family there, from their families. But he was fighting against the injustice and giving food and something to eat to those childs. He was facing some bishops and some politicians, and he also used bad words during his speech, but he was 100% free. And my father used to tell me some stories about Father Chinchanchoma. So he was my mentor, but I was never getting some time with him.
Gotcha.
And my last mentor, I think, Father Guti. He was my friend when I was 15 years old. Since I was 50 years old, he came nearly ordained to the parish. And wow, he's an amazing priest. He was a priest who led the ceremony with the martyr San Jose Sanchez del Rio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's also kind of famous in Michoacan state, and so he shared a very juvenile spirituality, especially with the young people. He
Mm-hmm.
was one one very good example to follow for all those young people.
Mm.
And so I was young, so I was, yeah.
Wow.
So he's my mentor too.
That's great. When you decided to join the seminary, did you ever discern joining or discerning with a religious order, or a diocese, or did you just kind of go with what was available?
Um, um, this is a very interesting question because at all time I was tempted to go with the Jesuits,
Mm-hmm.
and also with the Franciscan order.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end I was thinking, okay, the spiritual life of the Jesuits, it is something great. But they used to go to the universities and teaching, and their life is different.
Mm-hmm.
And the life of those Franciscans, it is also to stay in the communities, and so it is different.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the being part of one community,
Mm-hmm.
and being pastor for one specific community.
Mm.
So that's why I like the diocesan life.
Gotcha. That makes sense. What was your favorite course in seminary? Did you have a favorite subject that you studied?
Yes. So in philosophy, I think I really, really like philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And nociología, so critics,
Mm-hmm.
that was my favorite. And also in theology, fundamental theology was my favorite.
Gotcha. Nice. And then is there a particular, you've mentioned a few already, but a particular saint or a religious person that you feel like you really relate to the most?
Maybe like Saint Augustine.
Oh yeah, and today is his feast day.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe not when people are watching this, but today when we're recording, August 28th is feast day of St. Augustine. So that's a great answer. So what talk a little bit about what was involved in your transfer here. Like why leave Mexico? Why come to Orange specifically? How did all of that happen?
Okay, when I was in Mexico, I used to spend my vacations here in California
Mm-hmm.
because I like to practice snowboarding.
Mm.
So I came to Big Bear Mountains one time, and that was during winter time. So I went to celebrate the what's the name, Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
with Father Albaca in
Mm-hmm.
Santa Cecilia.
Mm.
So in Mexico, we have to wear cassock during Mass. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that here in the States there is another rules. So I was wearing my cassock with another friend also from
Mm-hmm.
the same seminary, so who came here visiting his family. He is also a priest. His name is Gaston.
Mm.
So um, after finishing Bishop Kevin Van
Mm-hmm.
went to celebrate the Mass at Santa Cecilia with Father Albaca.
Mm-hmm.
So before to start the celebration, Bishop Van saw some seminarians, and he asked, so are they priests? So he invited us to participate in the mass and being sitting next to him in the presbyterium.
Mm-hmm.
So after finishing mass, he invited us to have a talk in the sacristy. So we went there, and he told us that he is looking for some priests who not only know how to speak Spanish, so also who understand the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So he's looking for some bilingual and bicultural priests who can understand both cultures and being immersed in those different cultures. So he invited us to being part of the Diocese of Orange. And that's why.
Wow. So how long was it between that conversation and you coming here?
I was finishing my third year of theology, so that's like, I don't know,
6 or 7 years. Yeah.
6 or 7 years.
Wow. Awesome. I grew up in the Big Bear Mountains. That's where I'm from.
Wow.
Up in Lake Arrowhead. So yeah, small world.
Yeah.
Anyway, what have you noticed are some of the big differences between the culture in Mexico and the culture in the United States? Not Catholic ones, but just general culture.
Oh, yeah, no, there is a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So punctuality is totally the concept of the time. It is here is very important. In Mexico, it's kind of and so I think some of the biggest differences is like there is a huge difference between the goals that the people have, and I like the effort like the people used to do here in the States, giving something to the country. In Mexico, people is expecting receive something from the government. This is a huge difference. In Mexico, you have those very inefficient and small jobs, like when you go to the gas station, someone is filling your car with gas, and you can give him a tip for doing this. And here is a little bit more autonomous, those small jobs that you can do for yourself. You don't see these kind of jobs here. So people is working in something more important here in the States. And also there are in Mexico, you can see very, very wealthy people living in the same neighborhood with the one of the maybe the most poor guy in the world. So the differences are huge. And here in the States, it is very similar. It almost every area have differences, but so this is another difference between the cultures. And something that is I think related with the normal life in Mexico. You can be white, you can be blonde, you can be black, you can be any color in your skin, but you feel like you are part of the same in Mexico. Because, for example, in my family, I have some cousins that maybe 60% of my family in my mom's side is blonde and light eye color, like my mom. But also in the same family, I have some priests that are dark skin. And so there is not any difference, you know, in the same family. So the country is like a very huge family. So the segregation is not because or something that is racism. I think it's less than here. And in the States, I feel like sometimes it is very, very easy to fit in some groups because you look like you have some similarities with this group. So this is kind of a different concept in Mexico. But also Mexico have another problems. So if in Mexico, the segregation is because your money. If you are wealthy, then you are part of this group. If you are not wealthy, so this is a kind of a different thinking.
Gotcha. Now, what about differences within Catholicism, like within religion between America and Mexico? What are some of those differences that you've noticed?
Okay, the priests in Mexico, how can I explain? You have not this huge difference between I am a parishioner and he is the priest. So it's kind of a very close relation between the priest and the parishioners. And also another huge difference is people is always waiting for the instructions in Mexico. So the priest is the man who is doing everything, who is leading everything. And no one does something without permission from the priest. So it is very close, the relation between parishioners and priests, but the priest is like, how can I say, here in the States, I am very glad that the people is involved in taking some decisions and leading the parish. So in Mexico, it's just focused in the priest. So the priest is doing everything.
Gotcha.
Yes.
What was your first, because you said you've been to California before, I assume multiple times before you came here as a seminarian. Do you remember what your first experience was like in California?
Oh, my first experience was Disney World. So
oh, really?
I was like, oh my God. Yes.
How old were you?
I don't remember. I was young, so I remember my first experience. My first experience was like very wonderful vacation time. You know, a place that I want to go back again.
Yeah. Were you a young kid, or were you like a teenager or teenager? Okay, gotcha. So your role here at St. Timothy's is you are a seminarian intern, right? Or you're doing your pastoral internship. Can you talk about, for people who don't know, what that is, why you do that, and what kind of the purpose of it is for people who are wondering?
So I think the purpose of this year is get enough experience and discernment to become a diocesan priest. And so my number one is learn from Monsignor John how to work.
How to lead a parish.
Yes.
Now, are there specific responsibilities that you have as an intern, or is that kind of set up by the parish that you're serving?
Both. So there are some requirements from the seminary, and I'm gonna have some other requirements from the parish.
Gotcha. What are some of those? Do you know?
I have to share theological reflections during the homily, and I have to go to different sacraments, and especially baptisms and weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I have to go to a specific number of those.
Interesting.
At least a specific number. I can go more than this number, but at least like some.
Gotcha. What have you learned or appreciated about St. Timothy's so far, about our community?
That people is very happy in this community. They are very friendly, and Monsignor is doing a very excellent, great job here. And you have a lot of different groups, so you have a lot of different interests, and you have a very good staff, the people that is working at the parish, and parishioners are very kind, very friendly, and very open. That's my impression.
That's awesome. Good. Our nickname is the Friendly Parish, so it seems that we're living up to it. That's all the questions I have that were sent in by the parishioners. So is there anything else you want to share or that you want the parish to know about you? Or maybe any words of encouragement, or any theological reflection, to help you with your seminary requirements?
Okay. No, how can I say? I'm very glad to stay with you during this time. I feel me very blessed, because before to came here, I hear that there is wonderful people that are parishioners in this community, and I'm very grateful for this decision. I don't know why God gave me this opportunity, and so I will pray for this year, for this community, especially during these circumstances, this time that is kind of weird, everything. But something that I want to share is, I think that the same reflection that Father Luigi shared with me, that the peace always came from God. And when we don't have peace, is because we are not looking forward. That God is always with us, and He's the biggest bless that we can receive anytime. So I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, those are great parting words. So thank you all for watching this. I hope if you see Roberto, our seminarian, on campus, you'll put your mask on, say hello to him from a distance, and make him feel welcome. And when all this, calms down, as I told Father Evan, I'm sure you'll get, if you haven't already, many dinner invitations and, more questions and people wanting to know you. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And I hope you all enjoy watching this later.